I 37 meters don't know how to handle my wife 30F's Russian family, which totally buy into the Russian propaganda and think Putin is godlike. My 37 meters wife's 30F family came to Germany from Kazakhstan in the 90s. They had some Russian and German heritage, but the Russians didn't want them, and Germany was seen as the promised land, so they came here and started a new life. They have decent jobs and can afford anything they need. They have German passports and live a very comfortable middle-class lifestyle. However, since I met my wife 6 years ago, I have noticed some strange sentiment in what they say and as what my wife retells. They speak Russian with each other but German when I'm around. There is anti-Semitic, homophobic, anti-American, racist and very pro-Russian sentiment, which I absolutely oppose. We maintain a very friendly relationship, but that's because I avoid political talk with the family, not with my wife, and TBH I don't trust them in that regard. I think they want to appear politically correct in front of me, but I am sure they have quite different feelings. They have no problem criticizing our own government and society in many aspects. My wife and I had some arguments before regarding discussions she had with her family. What is driving me mad is that they enjoy all the benefits of living in Germany and consider themselves Germans, compared to other immigrants, but they are so brainwashed by their Soviet heritage and Russian propaganda. They are true Putin fans and boasted about new missiles he had announced, the laws against homosexuality, etc., etc. Now with the latest developments, I have not spoken to them openly about the situation, but my wife tells me they are absolutely convinced Putin does the right thing and he's liberating the people from genocide, etc. Of course they only watch Russian TV. I don't know how to face that discussion without seriously harming my relationship with them. Furthermore, my wife is sitting between the chairs. She doesn't fully believe the propaganda, and of course it's her family, so she struggles. I think ultimately her loyalty is with me, and she is generally a very liberal and open-minded person, but she just can't call bullshit on the things her family tells her. Furthermore, she demands to speak Russian with our children, which I don't understand, and that has already caused some heavy arguments in the past. Any suggestions? Redditor's reaction story 2 after. Redditor 1. What is driving me mad is that they enjoy all the benefits of living in Germany and consider themselves Germans, compared to other immigrants. Dude, I'm an immigrant and live in Germany. I'm a naturalized citizen and everything. Let me tell you one thing, the most bigoted people towards immigrants that I've met are immigrants themselves. There's an enormous amount of crab mentality going on in immigrant communities. Other than that, all I can say is, there are some issues that run deep with people. Politics, education, or rather elitism, money, religion. It's imperative for any couple to be somewhat in agreement about those topics with your spouse. Neither you nor she has to agree with her family on these issues. As long as she's not agreeing with them, it's all good. It's annoying, but I just ignore it. Furthermore, she demands to speak Russian with our children. That needn't be too bad. Growing up bilingual can be a great thing. Russian is a very interesting and cool language. What I always told my partner is that, if we have children, they will first and foremost learn the language of the country we live in and then English. Everything else is secondary. Redditor follow-up, definitely agree on the crab comment. I think Op might be worried about them learning Russian because he doesn't want the kids growing up learning their disgusting views. This is valid fear, and you need to talk about setting boundaries about what her family talks to the kids about. I would be worried if she's not able to put her foot down on her behalf about them saying these bigoted remarks. She might not be willing to put her foot down when it comes to what they say to their children. Redditor 2, sadly this sentiment is common in older Russians. My parents are the same. We also immigrated from Kazakhstan to Germany in the early 2000s. I don't think my parents are bad people, but I stopped talking about politics a long time ago. It just leads to arguments and resentment. Sorry, I don't have better advice. Redditor follow-up, I've heard from Kazakhs that the Russians in Russia didn't really consider the ethnic Russians from Kazakhstan to be Russian. Is that true? Redditor 3, my best friend here in Switzerland, her family is the same way. I'm dumbfounded. Redditor 4, when you say she demands to speak Russian with the children, do you mean that she will only speak with them in Russian, or that she's insisting that they grow up speaking both of her languages rather than just German? Op answer, She insists to learn Russian as a native language along with German. Consequently, she speaks 70% Russian with them. Our kind speak 95% German, but that's normal at 2 years old, I guess. Story 2, I 24F got into an argument with my boyfriend 25 meters over sharing a bed with my mother or sister. Any advice? For some context, my mom, me and my sister are very close. She raised us by herself, so it has always been just us. She's married now to our wonderful stepdad, who I am also close to, and I spend time with my family whenever I can. After my mom finished her master's a few years ago and got settled into her career, she has made it a point to have a girls' weekend once a month, or at least spend the day together. This often entails a small road trip to a nearby town, a theme park if it's during the summer, or during quarantine we just would video chat for a few hours and drink wine. Whatever it is we do, my mom foots the whole bill. She says it's her way to make up for not being able to afford much when we're growing up. Our significant others are always welcome to join, but in the past they haven't usually. My stepdad and my sister's fiancé actually get along great, and they have gone fishing during these weekends before. Overall, I love my family dynamic and have no plans on changing it. Now onto the issue. I met my boyfriend about a year ago. We have always gotten along great and my family loves him. He has joined us on these trips once or twice and seemed to have a good time. Last weekend was a girls' weekend, and we were planning to go to a city about an hour away. We planned on leaving Friday and returning Sunday night. BF was invited but declined as he had plans. I thought that was the end of it. About an hour before I headed out, I mentioned how the Airbnb we rented only had one bed, so I was probably going to end up sharing that with my mom or sister, or I was going to sleep on the couch. He seemed very weirded out by that. He said something like, "You don't feel awkward sharing a bed with your mom? How can you not see how weird that is? I would never share a bed with my mom or a sibling, blah blah blah." I told him he was being weird and gross and that they were family. He then mentioned how I often sleep naked, which is not even a decent argument because obviously I'm not gonna sleep naked with my fucking mother or sister. I told him it wouldn't be the first time we have shared a bed and that he needed to drop it. This resulted in an actual screaming match that went out for like 20 minutes. He doesn't live with me, so I told him to get out and give me his key before I left, which he was reluctant to do. He then told me to just sleep on the couch and none of this would be an issue, which I told him there was no issue and that he was being weird. I asked him multiple times why sharing a bed with my mother or sister was even a problem, and he wouldn't give me a straight answer. I left and didn't answer a single one of his many calls or messages over the weekend. I got back Sunday night, and have only spoken to him once. He is still demanding I apologize and reiterating how wrong the situation was. Is there something I'm not seeing here? Is it actually that weird to share a bed with your own family? Right now our relationship is in limbo and I am thinking of ending it, but I have had a few friends now tell me they can understand where he's coming from and that I should just apologize and move on because our relationship is great otherwise. Any advice? Small update. When all this happened, I didn't tell my mom's sister because I didn't want to ruin their weekend. Now that people are pointing that maybe the dude has an incest kink or was abused and I am freaking out and crying, I called my mom and told her what happened. She's a bit mortified but was able to calm me down. I was going to call him and ask him to come over so we could talk, but my mom and stepdad do not want me alone with him, so I just messaged him and asked him to call me. I hope it's neither of those things, but logically what else would cause this kind of reaction? I'll update again if anything happens. Redditor's reactions update to the story after. Redditor 1, I had an ex that flipped out when I helped my sister, a single mother, bathe her kids when she the flu. Lost his mind and said it's so gross to see kids naked, and he couldn't believe my sister even looked at her son, an actual baby, naked. Him being weirded out weirded me out because at best, his attachments to family are cold and weird, and at worst because of his own conditioning, he was sexualizing a non-sexual situation. It's gross and indicative of an immaturity you've long since outgrown at 24. Redditor follow-up, I would love to know what he found horrifying about a mother seeing her infant naked. Does he think babies change their own diapers? TF? How about daycare? Am I a pedo because I've had to change poopy diapers? What in the fuck? Redditor 2, how absolutely ridiculous. Have you met his parents? Don't even engage in a conversation regarding this. Tell him he will never dictate to you what you're supposed to feel and most certainly not try to make you change how you communicate with your family. This sounds like a red flag though. Op answer, I've met his family many times. He has a good relationship with both parents and his elder sister. That's what to me makes his reaction so outlandish. It seems so unlikely that he's never shared a bed with a family member, at least when he was younger. The way he was acting though, you'd think he had never heard of such a thing. I keep thinking about messaging him back or blocking him altogether, but I really want to know what caused him to go so nuclear. It absolutely is a red flag though, it just sucks because I do love him. Update. The first post is locked now, but I did want to leave an update for anyone who was curious. Everything is still a mess basically lol. We talked after he got off work the other night. He started the conversation by asking how the trip went, and he did actually apologize. Or rather, he basically said I'm sorry for my reaction and how it escalated, but not how I feel about the situation. I again asked him to explain just how sharing a bed with my mom or sister was inherently wrong, and if he felt that way maybe because of how he was raised to view sharing a bed. He just kinda doubled down and said no, it was just weird and he could never share a bed with his mom and cannot understand how I was comfortable with doing it myself. I forgot to mention this in my first post, but I actually did end up sleeping on the couch. When I told him this, he said that had I just said that none of this mess would have happened and was pretty much implying that this issue continuing was my fault. I was getting pissed at this point and said basically that sharing a bed was not inherently sexual or intimate and that him thinking so at all was weird as FCK. I point blank asked him if he genuinely thinks something would happen between me and my own mother or sister, and at this point he began to backtrack. He said that was not what he said and that I was twisting his words, when I absolutely was not. He told me I was disgusting for implying that. We went back and forth on this until he was like fine. Okay, maybe I was out of line, but I still think it's inappropriate, but I guess I will just get over it. Can we please just move past this? I told him I had a lot to think about and that I needed space. After we hung up, I immediately went to bed and tried not to think about it much today. His sister ended up calling me when I got home from work today. We've become really friendly since I started dating my BF, so usually I wouldn't think anything of this, but I pretty much knew it was going to be about the bed situation. Sure enough, it was. He had asked her for advice on how to fix the situation and tried to explain his perspective to it. She said that she told him he was being a dumbass and very, very weird about the situation. She wanted to know if I was okay and asked if he had apologized yet. I asked her if they had ever shared beds on family vacations, and she said of course. She's quite a bit older than him, she's in her early 40s and a mom herself, and she helped her parents a lot with him when he was young. She said his behavior right now was weird and gross and totally out of character. She apologized for being nosy, but I thanked her for checking in on me. I didn't tell her about the post, but I did get the courage to ask her if he had maybe suffered from some sort of abuse that she knew of. She assured me that she didn't think that was likely, but that she couldn't speak for him. She told me that we needed to talk this out in person and either resolve it or break up, but either way I have her support. I am really, really going to miss her. Very cool lady. And now I'm here. I don't know if she told him about our conversation, but he agreed to meet with me tomorrow morning. I haven't talked to my family about this because I'm sure they would think it was a bad idea to meet in person with him right now. Regardless of what he's willing to tell me, I am done. This is too much, and I don't know if any explanation is going to be enough to fix this. Thanks for all the advice yesterday, and I'll post a small update after tomorrow if anything does happen. Redditor's reaction story 3 after. Redditor 1, please meet in a public place just to be on the safe side. I don't know why he keeps doubling down. That's what is so weird. Op answer, it'll be at a coffee shop, not to worry. I think he's doubling down like this because he either realizes he's wrong and doesn't want to admit it, so he's content with arguing, or there's something like a kink or trauma making him react like this. I'm not going to be surprised if he still doesn't back down when we talk tomorrow, but regardless, I'm bringing him the few things he left at my house and breaking up with him officially. Redditor 2, what a weirdo. How can he sexualize this situation unless he's secretly incest or something? Sisters and mothers are completely normal to share beds. Redditor follow-up, I'm pretty sure I've shared a bed with my dad before. Nothing sexual ever happened. Just had to put up with him snoring loud AF and couldn't sleep. Also have shared beds with both my mom, sister and female friends and female strangers at bachelorette parties out of state trips. Nothing sexual ever. Just snoozing. Redditor 3, sounds like he watched a lot of incest PRN, and in his head is making it weirder than it is. Either that, or he was molested. Either way, very weird thing to have such a big problem over. Break up with him in a public place. Redditor follow-up, that's what it is. The stupid incest PRN trend that started in the last few years, I'm not sure actually, but that's when I started hearing about it. Story 3, my M27 girlfriend F29 has given up on her life. How do I decide when enough is enough? Purposely vague on some details for anonymity. I've been with my girlfriend for just over 3 years, and all of the things you'd expect are great. We love each other, have an incredible connection and a great time life. She's kind and supportive, we really like each other's friends, and I just love spending time with her. However, her mental and emotional state has collapsed over the last 6 months or so. When we began dating, she was in grad school for her fairly niche field, but since she graduated 2 years ago, she's been struggling to find work, and she's finally just given up. A few weeks ago, she quit her day job and has decided to live off of her savings. We don't live together. She's ruled out getting any job other than the very few in her industry, and has no plan for what she'll do when she runs out of money run out in a few months. She has a very complicated relationship with her parents, and resents both her brother, the golden child, and anyone with an uncomplicated positive relationship with their parents, including me. She blames her parents for ruining her life and robbing her of her future because they strongly encouraged her not to pursue her dreams until she was well into 20s, which she thinks was too late. Her mother was also very cold and uncaring to her growing up, and has refused to acknowledge the pain she caused. Because of all of this, a few times a month my girlfriend becomes consumed with anger at them and despair about the world. She said that she hates herself, that nothing will ever make her happy, and that she'll never have anything that she actually wants, i.e. a career, a mother who loves her. She thinks she missed her shot, and that the only interesting part of her life is over now that she's about to turn 30. 90% of the time we spend together is wonderful, beautiful, and everything I need, but that last 10% is miserable. She becomes consumed in anger and self-pity and nihilism, and I spend hours trying and failing to comfort her. She says she hates herself, she hates her life, and she hates what she's doing to me. When I try to help, she lashes out and pushes back on everything I say, and it's gotten to the point where I don't want to help at all. She's been in therapy, but it only seems to be making things worse. The worst periods of sadness often come just after her therapy sessions. She's never been fully dedicated to the process, and recently decided to quit. I'm fairly successful and career-driven programmer at a tech company, and I've always wanted a partner who shares my values. She had them once, but she's completely lost them, and I don't know how long I should wait to see if she'll ever snap out of this. If I left, though, I would really miss the 90% of the relationship that's fantastic. What should I do? How long should I wait? Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, she said that she hates herself, that nothing will ever make her happy, and that she'll never have anything that she actually wants, i.e. a career, a mother who loves her. She's half right. She might get a career, but she will never have a mother that loved her. And if you don't have parents that love and support you, it's incredibly hard to learn to love and support yourself. But the thing is, if she's not ready to put the work in, she's not going to get anywhere. You have to decide if you want to stick around until she's capable of that, and understand that she might never be. Redditor follow-up, for me personally this doesn't go away, it got easier. These are wounds that leave scars. They don't disappear, no matter how much healing you do. I'd say if the op can't envision himself being okay with her regressing every few months, years back into this toxic mindset, it might not be the best situation for either of them, if he were to continue. Disclaimer that this is my own personal experience. I call them emo moments. They pass quickly, but it happens. Redditor 2, This isn't something she can simply snap out of. When you mention the golden child, I wonder if your GF grew up on a narcissistic household, where she was the scapegoat? Just to let you know, people who go through trauma like this as a child receive a brain injury called CPTSD. It's similar to PTSD but unfortunately can last a lifetime. Your GF needs a lot of support, but she has to be willing to help herself. As for you, you need to either be 100% in it or not. Don't mess her around because it will be extra damaging, especially if she already has trust issues and abandonment issues. I urge you to look into complex post-traumatic stress disorder and see if this relates to your GF. If it does, then she needs specialist help. Not just a therapist, but someone who specializes in this type of trauma and family dynamic. Redditor follow-up. This is it. I very much relate to what you describe of your girlfriend and had a lot of conflict in a relationship that mirrors this. It's so hard looking at the factors in both of your lives and your relationship together, without looking at it through a trauma-informed lens. The very essence of CPTSD is not knowing who you are, your self-worth, or what you want. Because you were never brought up with love and having your needs met. I can speak from my own experience that those suffering will not know how to help themselves, because they don't know what they're suffering from and will continue to blame themselves when that is not the heart of the matter. Having a successful sibling who receives parental praise and support is part of the issue too. Emotionally immature parents will use that as a meter of how well their children are doing, and again ignoring that child's individual needs. It's not something that can be generalized across a family. I so relate to what she is going through, and it seems like she is blaming herself for not getting better instead of understanding what the root of the pain is. It's a long process to heal and there is no timeline. I would suggest both of you read the book Complex CPTSD by Pete Walker. It will make a lot of this come into clarity for both of you, and will allow you both to step back and think about whether the relationship is healthy and beneficial for you both, and whether both of your needs can be met in relationship with one another. It's a lot. Take your time to process it and make choices with patience and care. Redditor 3, homie, she's literally fighting for her life right now and you're thinking about being another statistic. Statistically, when female partners are deeply struggling or sick, the male partner leaves instead of sticking through it. Do you actually love her or not? If she's feeling worthless, she needs actual love and caring and patience, and if you're writing in here, I guarantee you're not doing as great of a job as you think. People that suffer like this are very good at reading body language, moods and vocal tones. If you aren't genuine, it's likely she can tell. Redditor follow-up, agreed. She's suffering and he's being selfish. Like 90% of the time she's amazing, but he doesn't want to deal with her for that 10%? That's sad. I don't believe he's being as helpful as he thinks. Obviously, as someone who came from a happy home, he'll never get it, but him invalidating her is unfair. Redditor 4, she's depressed, perhaps deeply. A quick band-aid is to be put on an antidepressive med like Prozac for maybe 3-6 months. B, pill popping rarely fixes depression long term. Her mental life has become inundated with dark thoughts. Learning through therapy or through self-teaching something like cognitive behavior therapy (CBT) would give her a major tool for her toolkit to reverse her depressed mood and be much better able to fend it off in future. See, a coping tactic just now would be for her to take daily quiet time meditation breaks 20-30 minutes. Just focus on her breathing, trying to avoid dwelling on anything. Hard the first few days, but it gets easier and most people get the hang of it and find it invaluable for easing anxiety, the typical precursor to depression. Should up her mood by a couple of notches, definitely no C-re, though. D, another coping tactic that directly addresses the mood swings downward, is aerobic exercise. The harder the better. A home treadmill could be a lifesaver, as it boosts our endorphins, the feel-good hormones. Non-electronic distractions would be helpful when I was coping. I'd use puzzle books, e.g. find a word, engaging, very calming and refreshing.